It's June, aka Pride Month, a month to celebrate how far the LGBTQ plus community has come, their struggle for human rights, the people who fought for those rights, and queer visibility today. This month of celebration encourages queer people to be out and proud, not just to survive, but to thrive. And I think that it's a genuinely beautiful thing. In case the way I talked about Cassie Sandsmark in the last video didn't give it away, I am trans. I was assigned male at birth, and over years of self-reflection, I found my girlhood. In this video, I want to talk about a character that really helped me through that. Even when I was young and didn't exactly know how to put words to my feelings, this character made me feel seen, made me feel understood. This character is Miss Martian, specifically Miss Martian in the Young Justice animated series. Miss Martian, real name Megan Maors, human alias Megan Morse, is introduced at the end of episode 2 as the niece of Justice League member Martian Manhunter. Her powers include flight, shape-shifting, density shifting, telepathy, and telekinesis. She has a buffet of powers, making her quite the powerful member, some people even going as far as to say that she's the most powerful member of the team. Some people are me. In fact, in episode 16, Martian Manhunter even goes as far as to say that she is the most powerful telepathic mind that he has ever encountered.
But clearly, we underestimated her abilities.
You understated. In terms of raw power, she has the strongest telepathic mind I have ever encountered. Stronger by far than mine.
She's written as smart, courageous woman, but a lot of her is masked under this ditzy, domesticated performance. She has a catchphrase, "Hello, Megan," which she says quite a bit.
Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan.
And she wears this cutesy schoolgirl outfit. She ends up dating another member of the team, Connor Kent, aka Superboy, and the two enter high school together. On their first day, she tells them about how on Mars, the white Martian minority is marginalized by the green Martian majority. Though, of course, she is green.
It's no different on Mars. The white Martian minority are treated as second-class citizens by the green majority. Of course, I'm green, but that doesn't make it right.
In episode 16, the team is put under a training exercise where Martian Manhunter places the team in a psychically induced scenario, though the team wasn't told that it was a train for failure scenario. No matter what they did, it was only going to get worse. The team knew this going in, but when Artemis was killed, Megan's subconscious mind could not tell the difference, and her emotions overpowered the psychic illusion, making everyone forget that it was an exercise. Suddenly, they all thought it was real. Even Artemis, who should have awoken upon her death, was so convinced that she died that she slipped into a coma. Martian Manhunter went into the illusion, shocking Megan into awakening, though the entire team was left traumatized. Following these events, Black Canary took each team member in for a therapy session, and when Megan is brought in, she dissuades her guilt, assuring the girl that with practice, she'll be able to control her powers, and that it's not her fault. However, when Megan is lamenting her fear of her powers, something interesting happens. Her skin shifts from green to the tone of her human form, white, and when Black Canary points this out...
You've turned white.
No! Oh, you meant Caucasian.
This all comes to a head in episode 21, Image. The episode begins with Black Canary and Green Arrow being brought in by Batman, Red Tornado, and Martian Manhunter. They're shown a tape of Megan shapeshifting into Black Canary and making out with Superboy in the main training room of Mount Justice. Obviously, this is an invasion of Black Canary's privacy and an inappropriate use of her powers on Megan's part, and Black Canary goes to talk with her. When Black Canary knocks on the door to Megan's room, she's in her human form, watching a TV show on a weird, futuristic computer thingy. On a screen is a girl that looks exactly like her in her human form, and sounds just like her too, doing her catchphrase. Hearing Black Canary's knock, she turns off the computer and turns green again before she comes in. Canary explains to her why her actions were wrong, and Megan is apologetic, though when she tells her to just be herself...
From now on, just be yourself.
This is myself. This is who I am.
Suddenly, the team is called in for a mission briefing. Karaki President Harjofti is suddenly backing Bialyan dictator Queen Bee's claim that Bialya and Karak were one nation in ancient times, and is agreeing to merge the nations under her rule. The team is sent to investigate, but as they enter Karak, they see a family trapped in a stampede. The mother is Marie Logan, animal conservationist, and the boy is her son, Garfield. The team saves them, and while the boys take Garfield back to the house, McGann and Marie mend the fences. Garfield mentions that McGann and his mother look exactly alike, a resemblance the boys don't seem to see until he mentions that she especially looked like his mother back when she was on Hello, Megan. He reveals to the boys that Hello, Megan is a TV show and that his mother was on when she was younger. Not just a catchphrase McGann said. And McGann was a huge fan of the show, asking Marie about it when they fixed the fences.
Listen, Hello Megan was a job. The person you saw on TV isn't who I am.
The team then goes on their mission, realizing that Harjofti was being mind controlled by Simon, a psychic working for Queen Bee that the team had previously fought. As the boys rescue President Harjofti from Bialyan soldiers, McGann takes on Simon in psychic combat. Then Simon forces her to reveal her true form.
Simon says, show me who, or rather what, you really are.
No! 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 This is who I am!
Miss Martian was a white Martian, and that form wasn't exactly feminine, or female-looking at all. Miss Martian is horrified and distressed at being in this form, and the boys begin to approach her to back her up. So desperately not wanting them to see her in this form, she blasts her own teammates to knock them out. Simon takes her into the psychic battlefield, and they have this exchange.
Come now. We both know that's not who you really are. Must you even lie to yourself within your own mind?
It's not a lie! This is who I am!
Even in her own mind, she's so sure that that form is who she truly is inside. He psychically tortures her with ideas of what would happen if the team found out her secret, if she was outed.
Keep back! Well, of course. Friends and teammates shrink from you in fear.
You should have told us the truth.
I don't see how we can trust you now.
Then you're kicked off the pep squad.
I am sorry, madame, but there is no place for you on Earth now.
Oh, and banished to Mars, too! Yet even that's not the worst, is it?
No, please, stop.
Love you? I can't even look at you!
Oh, what you wouldn't do to prevent that now, right?
That's right.
However, this pushes her to unleash the full wrath of her psychic powers onto him, leaving him catatonic.
You don't know me at all.
After the mission, the team questions her on the Hello Megan show, and she reveals the truth.
Growing up on Mars was not a happy time for me, but I started watching the broadcast my uncle sent from Earth to teach us about our sister planet. When I saw Hello Megan, something just clicked. Maybe it was the similarities in our names. Maybe it was the way all Megan's problems could be solved in 22 minutes. All I know for sure is that Megan helped me smile through a lonely childhood. So, when I came to Earth and had to adopt a human form, I chose you. Well, Megan.
Well, sort of.
Which begs the question, what do you really look like?
All began.
Still hot.
You know you don't have to put on a mask for me.
I do it for me. This is who I am, inside.
Queen Bee then blackmails her with the information of her true form, and she doesn't tell anyone the truth until the end of the season. So, you all see why this character is trans, right? McGann's true form being a monstrous, some would say masculine creature, but her identifying and presenting as a cute girl, that girl being who she is inside. It's a metaphor for a trans person's transition, specifically that of a trans woman or a trans girl. Being assigned male at birth and transitioning to a woman or a girl because that's who they are inside. You could even interpret Miss Martian's White Martian form as a personification of her gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria, in the context of bodies, is discomfort or alienation from one's own body because it doesn't match how they feel inside. Personally, I'm jealous that Miss Martian has her own dysphoria monster. I don't have a dysphoria monster, I just have pain. I want my own dysphoria monster too! But it doesn't just stop there. I talked about this in my last video, but in early transition, a lot of trans girls have very hyper-feminine gender presentations. They have to work 10 times as hard as cis girls to be seen as girls, to be seen as what they truly are, and oftentimes they'll go overboard with their feminine expression. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just not for every girl that does it. With McGann, in the first season, she's very focused on coming off as feminine, with her mannerisms based off of a girly girl sitcom star, her cutesy schoolgirl outfit, even her shape-shifting was feminized. In episode 3, she shapeshifts into female versions of Robin and Kid Flash when showing off her shapeshifting abilities, telling them that it's hard for her to shapeshift into boys.
Impressive, but you know you're not exactly gonna fool anyone with those.
Mimicking boys is a lot harder.
Yet later in that same episode, she shapeshifts just fine into Red Tornado, a male-presenting robot, when the mission called for it. It wasn't that she couldn't shapeshift into boys, it was that she wouldn't shapeshift into boys. In season 2, with the 5-year time skip giving her time to grow, she's much more confident in her gender expression and her gender presentation. She's rocking a pixie cut, and she shapeshifts into guys with no issues. She's not afraid to be more fluid with the gender she shapes into or her gender expression because she knows it won't change who she is. She is a girl, point blank period. Nothing is going to change that. Then there's her relationship with Connor. He very much presents as this hyper-masculine character, and with McGann basing her femininity and her girlhood off of the sitcom Hello Megan, I do think there's a part of her that gravitated towards him to validate her girlhood. While I think there's a compound aspect to this relationship, I do think that McGann genuinely loves him, and he genuinely loves her, and they prove the love they have for each other over and over and over again throughout the show. But McGann also didn't tell him that she was a White Martian when they first started dating, and it very clearly parallels situations that some trans girls will get in where men will pursue them and not know that they are trans. While I do think it's always important to be honest with romantic and or sexual partners, I do get how it can be scary. I think it's easy to point a finger at these women and say that they did something bad, say that they lied. But I think the show really hits on why some of these women are hesitant to out themselves, even to people they're supposedly close to.
Keep back!
Well, of course. Friends and teammates shrink from you in fear.
You should have told us the truth.
I don't see how we can trust you now.
Then you're kicked off the pep squad.
I am sorry, madame, but there is no place for you on Earth now.
Oh, and banished to Mars, too. Yet even that's not the worst, is it?
No, please, stop.
Love you? I can't even look at you!
Oh, but you wouldn't do to prevent that now, right?
Not just at rejection from their partners, but rejection from everyone in their lives. Once that information is out there, it's out there, and it can harm your livelihood, your job security, your housing situation, even your life and safety. But Superboy doesn't reject her, nor does the team. In fact, Superboy already knew, and he didn't care. He loves her just the same.
I realized you would never accept me if you saw what I really am.
McGann,
Did we truly seem so shallow?
I couldn't take the chance. Being a white Martian among the green on Mars, I endured constant rejection. I couldn't face that
From me? I've known since we mind melded last September in Bialya.
But that was before we even became a couple. Why didn't you say anything?
I figured you'd tell me when you were ready.
And seeing that in a show like this, I think, is so powerful. The trans girls aren't just worthy of love, but worthy of protection, deserve to be cherished. Miss Martian isn't a character that can be read as trans, or a character that would be more interesting if she were trans. She is trans. Miss Martian is a trans character, and her story is a trans story. But if you're not willing to listen to me, perhaps you'll be willing to listen to Greg Wiseman, developer, writer, and producer for Young Justice. When asked about it, he said,
"I'm not sure if we had any specific transgender metaphor in mind. In fact, I honestly wish I could say definitively that we did. It was probably there in the background radiation of my brain, but I'm not sure how conscious I was of it. But you definitely hit on what we were trying to get across. This is her, who she is inside. Transforming into Megan Morse may have started off for her back on Mars as a fantasy or an escape. But I think when she first got to Earth, Miss Martian was her attempt at trying to pass, to use a metaphor for a whole different idea. But the green-skinned, red-haired Megan Morse is how she sees herself. It's her self-image, which makes it honest and real, even if it doesn't encompass her whole history or visually reveal every aspect of the truth."
when discussing trans characters in kids' media or trans people in real life, the "how can I explain this to my children" talking point comes up a lot from conservative parents. But Miss Martian was on television in 2010, and though they didn't use the word trans, that's exactly what she was. And I don't think anyone was confused or scared about how to talk about her or how to feel about her. Everyone understood. Everyone accepted her. Everyone got that the Green Martian form was who she was. Inside. And there is sort of an inherent transness to shapeshifter characters. That's why it was so powerful when She-Ra introduced the character of Double Trouble, a non-binary shapeshifting mercenary. And I think a lot of shapeshifter characters can be read as trans or gender fluid, actually. And though I can't speak to anyone else's experiences besides mine, as a trans person, I've always resonated with shapeshifters. Whenever I was a kid and was asked what superpower I would want if I could have one, the answer was always shapeshifting. The ability to change whatever I wanted about my appearance, that sounded rad as hell. While I do think that Miss Martian is excellent writing of a trans character, I do also want to bring up the perspective of queerbaiting, or in this case, I guess it'd be transbaiting, because I do think it's something worthy of being discussed, and it's an important topic. So, a lot of times in media, creators will want the benefits of having queer fans without actually doing the work of making queer characters. So they'll hint or they'll tease at a character being gay, or two same-sex characters being in a relationship, or put two same-sex characters in innuendos, but they'll never actually follow through, because they don't want to actually deal with the consequences of having gay characters. This is called queerbaiting, as it baits queer fans without actually giving them what they want. Obviously, queerbaiting is broader than that, and there are tons of interesting discussions as to what is and isn't queerbaiting, but for the purposes of this discussion, that's the working definition that I'm going to be going with. So, how does this apply to Miss Martian? Well, Miss Martian is a trans character. Her writing coincides with trans experiences. It's pretty much one-to-one, no leaps in logic or changes in perspective necessary to understand it. But they never directly use the word trans. Obviously, I'm not sure the writers were aware that they were writing a trans character. Often things are subconscious. And even if they were aware and they wanted to make Miss Martian a canonically trans character, I don't think they'd be able to do that, considering season 1 came out in 2010. I don't think that would have been approved. Television wasn't ready for a trans character in a kids' cartoon back then. Arguably, they still aren't ready now. But the world was not a place where that was even a conceivable possibility when Miss Martian hit the screens. So why am I suggesting that Miss Martian could be viewed as transbaiting? Because of the aspect of queerbaiting that is reaping the benefits of queer fandom without actually doing the work to make queer characters and do queer representation. And that's sort of what I'm contributing to when I claim that Miss Martian is trans. I'm giving Young Justice the credit for making a trans character without it actually doing the work of making an explicitly canonically trans character. And I don't want to give writers credit for something they didn't do. I don't think that's fair to writers who actually do the work to do these things. And I do want to suggest people go watch shows like Pose or Euphoria, who do have actual canon trans characters, played, might I add, by trans actors. And I think it's awesome that there's some trans representation today, and there's only going to be more. But I do want to say this. When I was in elementary school, there weren't any canon trans characters in the TV shows that I watched. Trans representation wasn't something I thought about. Trans wasn't even in my vocabulary. But turning on my TV screen on Saturday mornings, watching Miss Martian fly across my screen, kicking ass and taking names, her story made me feel a little less alone. Seeing her made me feel a little less alone. And to me, that's something worth my appreciation. I want to get into the larger topic of trans representation because I do think it's very important. According to GLAAD, only 20% of Americans know someone who is transgender, or rather, know someone who they know to be transgender. A lot of trans people are read by the people around them as cis, and plenty of people probably know trans people but don't know it. But this data means that 80% of Americans learn about transgender people through the media. And so it is the job of the media to teach people about trans people. And historically, they haven't really done a good job of that. Whether it be complete erasure or offensive portrayal, the media has not done its part in the movement for trans acceptance and trans liberation. When there is bad representation of trans people, people are going to internalize that. And that's how they're going to view trans people. And that misrepresentation, because of that, can be really dangerous and damaging. So I want to recommend things that I view as good representation, and I want to recommend trans creators that I really like, because I feel like that's important. Pose and Euphoria are both excellent shows. People Watching is great, as is Doom Patrol, her story too, and also She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I also want to recommend the film Disclosure, which delves into the history of trans representation in the media and how that's affected how society views trans people and how trans people view themselves. Great stuff. As far as trans creators go, ContraPoints, Cat Black, Cops Hate Mo, Queerbaiting, and Ashton Daniel all make content that I personally really enjoy. And also, I'm a trans creator, so watch my content too. In an interview on Comics Alliance, bisexual comic writer James Tynion IV said, "I think it's one of the worst kept secrets in comics that comics has a huge queer community. I think there's something about the kind of outcast nature of comics as a medium, and also the fact that superhero comics in particular, but comics of all shapes and sizes, tend to tell the stories of outsiders. It's something that's very special about comics and superhero stories, and it's something that was continued with Miss Martian and Young Justice. A decade ago, Young Justice hit the TV screens, and now DC has multiple comics and TV shows with canon trans characters, comics by trans writers. I'm so glad to see how far the world has come. But to me, Miss Martian will always be my trans icon." Thank you all for watching my video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like. If you want to see more, maybe consider subscribing and checking out my other videos. And if you have any thoughts, comment them. I love feedback. As always, my Twitter and the comic shop locator will be in the description down below, as is my pull list, as well as the links to all the trans creators I mentioned. See you next month. Bye.
Hello, Megan. School and boys and parents too. Whole lot to juggle for Miss You-Know-Who. Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan. This cheerleader knows the score. Center of attention and so much more. Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan. A little bit distractible, but never too intractable. She's really quite attractable. Okay, a lot distractible. Eventually she'll get a clue.
Hello, Megan.